Hello everyone. We're here for the GATE preparation course. In your GATE architecture and planning exam, you have the three sections. One is the common part, one is your architecture section, and one is your planning section. Under the common part, in Unit 2, we come across construction management, the syllabus for which has many components. But your major component under that is your project management techniques. So project management techniques start from say basic ones like bar chart, go to work breakdown structures, and then come to our network methods. So your network methods, some of them examples are your CPM, your PERT. Okay, so CPM stands for critical path method, and your PERT stands for program evaluation and review technique. So under both of these methods, or under any network method, the first step is basically to create these networks, right? So how do you create these networks and what is a network? That's what we're going to see in today's video. So your network is basically a flow diagram where you show all of these activities and events and you connect them logically and sequentially. So now what are activities and events? Activity is the occurrence of uh, a job, okay, or the performance of a job. Say you're digging a trench. So this particular digging a trench is an activity, okay. When you start or end it or you finish that particular activity, that becomes an event, okay. So activity eventually has time and resources, utilizes all of it. So it's represented by an arrow in all of these network diagrams. Whereas your events are points of time, okay, so they represent one particular instant in time. So they're represented by say a square or by like a circle. So basically all of these shapes together are known as nodes, okay, and the most common node that we use are circles, okay. And the other component in a network is the dummy activity, which shows the dependency between activities, and it's usually shown as dotted arrows. So there's certain rules to making these networks. The first is that you time flows from left to right. Okay. Second is that you can have only one initial event and one final event. And you cannot start an event unless all of the preceding activities or all of the prior activities are complete. And similarly, you cannot start an activity unless all of the prior events are complete. Okay, and you cannot have an event happening twice. The length of the arrows does not show the magnitude or does not show how long the particular activity is. We have a duration that's usually mentioned along with the network, and the number of arrows is equal to the number of activities. Okay, and the arrows should ideally not be crossing each other. These are some basic rules. I think once we start making these network diagrams, it'll be much easier to understand. Okay, so the first network that we're going to be doing is this particular table. Okay, so your question would ideally give you the activities name, it will give you the duration of the activities, it will give you the preceding activities and the following activities. So when I say preceding or successor or following activities, preceding is what happens before that particular activity, following is basically what happens afterwards. Okay, now we're going to see how we're going to do this network. So we start with activity A because the preceding activity is none. And this is something that you should note. Your first activity of the network and your last activity will have none as one of these components. So your starting activity will have none in the preceding column and your final activity will have none in the following column. That basically means nothing is before it and nothing is after it. Okay. So we're going to take a quick look into how to make these network diagrams. So we're starting with A. Like I said, we need a one initial event. We start with A. Okay. And then we move on to B. So B is ideally originating from A. So A is the predecessor activity or preceding activity for B and C. So we have two events, or sorry, two activities that are coming out of this particular event, B and C. Okay, this is what you do when you have two activities coming out from one particular event. Now B comma C, which basically shows interdependency. So you remember me talking about this component called dummy activity? That's what comes into picture right now. So your D is an activity that will start only after B and C are done, right? So your event over here and event over here. Take a look at both of these durations. So B finishes in 4 weeks, C finishes in 6 weeks. So your dummy activity will ideally be only after C finishes. So your arrow's head is here. So B and C completing gives start to D. D is here. And then C, after the C activity, we have E. Okay, the other thing that you can keep doing as and when you make all of these networks is keep checking if the following activities are right. So after A, we have B and C. After B, we have D. After C, we have D and E, which is this dummy activity is what is representing it. Now we're coming to D. After D, or the D is a predecessor activity for F. Okay, so we have F that's coming out of D. And from E, we have G. So we have an event here, we have G here, and H comes from G. So H. Okay, like I said, the length of the arrows will not show your magnitude. So I'm just doing this because of, shortage of space. We still have a few more activities, I, J, K, L to draw. May not sure how it will play out over here. From F and from H, we have I. So both of these activities are combining at one point over here, right? So ideally what we should have done in this is your F and H would converge to one particular event. Okay, so your D ke baad F, G ends in H. Okay, and from both of this we have I coming out. And from G, we also have J. Okay, so G is the predecessor activity for 2. So G, after G, we have J. Okay, and from J, we have K, and from, okay, so we see I and K is meeting at some point, right? So I is over here and K is following J. So I'm just going to draw this way. And I and K is going to be meeting at one point. So let me redraw I or K. One of this can be redrawn just so that you have a meeting point. Okay, so you have I. Okay, and your final event L starts after I and K is done. So this is your typical network diagram. Okay. Under all of these arrows, so your name of the arrow or name of the activity is on top of the arrow, whereas your duration is usually written right below it. So A, the duration is 3, B is 4, C is 6, D is 3, E is 6, F is 4, G is 5, H is 3, I is 6, J is 4, K is 4, L is also 4. Okay. This is how you basically make a network. Okay, so we're going to attempt another network diagram. This is another question. So something to note, your gate questions would not stop at just making the network. This is just the first step that we're looking at. Following this, you'll actually be solving the question further and finding out whatever has been requested in the question. Say the slack, float, total duration. It could be any of this. Okay. Let's just make this network right now. So as I mentioned, immediate predecessor is nothing. So your A is your starting activity. So let's make an event. You need to start the network at an event. So your activity A is complete. Once A finishes, you have B and C coming from it. So we know we have to make 2 arrows coming out of this particular node. Okay, so you have two activities starting from this node. And from B, we have D and E. We have D, we have E. And from C, we have F. Okay, and from D, we have G. And from E, F, and G. So all of these three arrows are ideally supposed to meet at one node to give rise to H. Okay, and then one final event. So we just have to redraw these three, G, E, and F. Okay, so you'll never be able to perfect the network diagram with the first question. It'll take a little time, but that's all right. Keep practicing more and more number of questions, and you'll be able to make these networks really quickly, and you'll be able to solve it in no time. So D, after D we have G, after B we have E, and after C was F, right? So now we're done with the network. Again, just add all of the duration. Uh, in this particular one, the unit of time is hours. So activity A finishes in 4 hours, B is in 8 hours, C is in 5 hours, D is in 2 hours, E is in 7 hours, F is in 6 hours, G is in 3 hours, and H is in 9 hours. So this is how you make the network diagram.